Good afternoon, everybody. So I am very much thankful to organizers for arranging such kind of the lecture for T.Y.B.Sc Zoology students. So here in this lecture, I am going to deal related to topic from paper number 1. As all of you aware that title of this paper, Taxonomy and Type Study. From that, unit number 1, principle of taxonomy, that I am going to deal in today's lecture. And overall, related to today's lecture, we are going to restrict to some of the points. Likewise, levels of organization. Under the levels of organization, we are dealing with unicellularity, then colonization of the cells, multicellularity, then levels of organization. Under that, we are dealing with acellular, cellular, tissue level, organ level, and organ system level. These point we are going to cover up, and that is in unit number 1. And overall, we are dealing with levels of organization. As all of you aware, there are numerous animals on the earth. Some have the similar characters, whereas some have going to show the totally different characters. And overall, while studying the different kinds of the animals on the earth, the grouping of these animals, it is essential one, and grouping or classification of these animals, it can be done by the science which is known as taxonomy. And under the taxonomy, the study of grouping of animals or classification of living organisms can be done. And it is going to help us to identify these animals and to give the names to these animals and to classify in a certain groups itself. So under the taxonomy, we are going to study the characters, we are going to give the names to that animals, as well as we are going to classify these organisms or these animals into the different groups itself. And during the evolution, as all of you are aware, that there is some changes are going to be taking place according to their environment, and according to their environment, the adaptations are going to be occurring in different animals, and depending on that, habit and habitat which is also going to be changing. So the animals, when they are evolving from lower level to the higher level, at that time there is various kinds of adaptations are occurring related to the environment, related to their habit, and related to their habitat itself. And these animals are going to show some kind of the relationship among themselves whenever they are going to evolve from one level to the another level itself. So whenever we are going to categorize the different organisms itself, we have to have some kind of the classification, and according to them, these organisms are categorized into the different kingdoms itself. And nowadays there are 6 kingdom classification system is utilized, and under that 6 kingdom classification system, overall there are 6 different kingdoms are there. Likewise, there is presence of the kingdom Archibacteria, there is presence of the kingdom Eubacteria, there is presence of the kingdom Protista, there is presence of the kingdom Fungi, there is kingdom Plantae is there, and finally kingdom Animalia is going to be there. So all that organisms are going to be categorized into the 6 different kingdoms itself. In the kingdom Archibacteria, there is single-celled prokaryotes are present. Then in kingdom U bacteria, there is true bacteria are going to be included, and these are again prokaryotic. Then microscopic organisms are going to be there. Then kingdom Protista is there. In the kingdom Protista, there is a diverse group of unicellular and eukaryotic organisms are included. And in fungi, again, there is different kinds of the unicellular and multicellular fungi are included. In kingdom Plantae, there is different kinds of the green and multicellular plants are going to be included in kingdom Plantae. And lastly, in kingdom Animalia, there is different kinds of the multicellular than heterotrophic eukaryotic organisms are going to be included. So overall, the nature itself, it is going to have the diversity itself related to the different kinds of the organisms which is present on this mother planet, and they are going to show the variation itself. So there are huge number of the organisms are going to be there, and even though there is a kind of variation is going to be there, that life it is going to show the diversity, and it is a unique. So unique diversity is going to be present related to the presence of the different kinds of the organism. Overall, when we consider related to the different kinds of the organisms or animals are going to be presenting on the earth, then more than 1 million species of animals and half million of the plants are already described one. So there is 1 million species of the animals are there, and half million of the plants are also identified, and they are described into the different groups itself. And there are much more, or the many organisms are going to be there, they are not described one, and they are going to ranging from 3 to 10 millions itself. So there is huge number of the organisms are going to be there, they are under described species are going to be there. And whenever we are going to deal related to the diversity, so it should be highly impossible to deal with these enormous diversity unless it is going to be grouped into the different categories itself. And already I had mentioned that there is systemic zoology endeavors to order this diversity of the animal world. So as we are the zoologists, so we are going to dealing with the systemic zoology, and in the systemic zoology, taxonomy, that is the branch which is going to dealing with identifying the different kinds of the characters, identifying the different kinds of the animals to give the name and to categorize uh, these animals into the different group. It can be done mainly by the science which is known as taxonomy. And when we are going to deal related to the different kinds of the organisms, in that organisms itself, these are highly organized animals are going to be there, and they are going to have some kind of the structural similarities, as well as they are going to follow the hierarchy from smaller animals to the larger organisms itself. And as all of you aware that every living organism is composed of cell. So cell, that is the basic unit is there, that is the structural and functional unit is there, and that unit it is responsible for formation of the living organisms. And if we consider the levels of the organisms itself, in that this cell, that is the simplest level of organization is there, and that cell is going to perform the different kinds of the activities either singly or within the body itself. So cell, it is mainly responsible for carrying out the different activities which is occurring within the body. And if there is single cell is going to be there, that is going to perform the different kinds of the activities related to that organism itself. And if we consider the larger organisms, And in the larger organisms itself, there is many cells are coming together, and they are going to form the next organization. And this next organization is the tissue level organization. That is, the tissue level organization is going to be there. So from the cell there is tissue is coming, and in the tissue there is a similar specialized cells are coming together, and they are going to perform the specific function. So different kinds of the cells or the cells are coming together, and they are going to form the tissue, and that tissue is going to be performing the specific function. And there are many types of the tissues are going to be present in the plants as well as in the animals. Then these tissues are again grouped into the higher level of organization, and they are going to form the organ system itself. Then the organs are coming together, and they are going to form the organ system. Then all that organ systems are coming together, and they are going to form the body itself. And organ systems keeps the body regulated and in the stable state itself. And all that organ systems are going to have some kind of the coordination among themselves. So whenever we are going to consider related to today's point, that is the levels of organization, and under the level of organization, initially in the unicellular organism, there is single cell is present, and that single cell is going to perform the various functions which is essential for the activity of that unicellular organisms. While in multicellular organisms, many cells are going to be present. Similarly, functioning cells are coming together, and they are going to form the tissue. Then similarly, functioning tissues are coming together, they are going to form the organ. Organs are coming together, and they are going to form the organ system. All that organ systems are coming together, and they are going to form the organism itself. So whenever we are dealing related to the levels of organization, in that there is a concept of cell, then tissue, organ, organ system, that we are going to discuss during this lecture. Before dealing with this lecture, you should know there are different concepts are going to be there, and that different concept are going to be included. Likewise, there is presence of the unicellularity, there is presence of the colonization, and there is concept of multicellularity is going to be there. One by one, we are going to deal related to all these concept itself. So already I had mentioned that during the evolution itself, when there is formation of earth is taking place, at that time there is a most fundamental unit of matter is present, and that is present in the form of the atom which is developed. And this atom which is going to be consisting of nucleus, and that nucleus which is surrounded by the electrons, and these atoms are going to combining with each other or to the different atom itself by the chemical bonding or different kinds of the bonding itself, and they are going to form the molecules. And these molecules are going to form the macromolecules. So initially there is molecule, it is going to be formed, and then polymerization is taking place to form the larger molecules itself, and that larger molecules, it is known as macromolecule. So from the atom, these atoms are coming together, bounding with each other to form the different kinds of the atoms itself. They are going to form the molecules. Then these molecules, by the process of polymerization, they are going to form the macromolecule, and these macromolecules are responsible for formation of the cell. And cells are nothing but the ultimately formed organism. So in the beginning itself, there is unicellular organism, it is going to be formed, and when there is evolution is occurring, at that time it is responsible for formation of multicellular organism itself during millions of years ago. So in this way, initially there is atom is there, from atom there is formation of molecule, from molecule there is formation of macromolecules are there, macromolecules are responsible for formation of the cells, and during the course of evolution itself there is multicellular organism it is going to form, and it is going to take the millions of years up to the level of the highest organism is going to be there. So this is some kind of the introduction is going to be there related to the how that unicellularity is going to be changing to the multicellularity. Then we are going to dealing related to the unicellularity, then colonization, and lastly multicellularity. So as all of you aware that unicellular organisms, it is also known as single celled organism because it is going to be made up of the single cell, and that's why they are known as unicellular organisms. Then there is different kinds of the organisms are going to be there. Likewise there is amoeba, then paramecium are going to be present, and all these are single celled organisms, and they are the oldest form of the life is there, and they are existed about 3.8 million years ago. So these are the older forms are going to be there. In that again there is bacteria are going to be there, archaea it is also included, protozoa, unicellular algae, then unicellular fungi. These are the main groups of the unicellular organisms are going to be there. And these single cell is going to be regulate the different kinds of the activities among the organisms itself. So overall, uni it is nothing but the one, and cellular it is nothing but the cell, and that cell can be prokaryotic cell or there is eukaryotic cell. The difference between prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell, in the prokaryotic cell itself, the nucleus it is not bounded by the nuclear membrane, but in the eukaryotic cell, that nucleus it is going to be bounded by the nuclear membrane itself, and depending on that, either the cell it is a prokaryotic cell or that may be the eukaryotic cell it is going to be there. So that unicellular organisms, it may be the prokaryotic cell is there without the nuclear membrane to the nucleus, or with the nuclear membrane to the nucleus, and that is known as eukaryotic cell itself. Already we had seen various examples are going to be there. Likewise, there is presence of the different kinds of the bacteria are there, different kinds of the protozoan animals are going to be there, different kinds of the unicellular algae are going to be there, different types of the unicellular fungi are going to be there, and even though there is single cell is going to be present, they are going to carry out all the kind of the activities itself, even though they can able to reproduce by the way of the asexual method or by the way of the sexual method. And already I had mentioned that they are going to be occurred 3.8 million years ago. They are very microscopic one. They are going to be have very smaller size itself, and they are going to have the simple structure itself. They do not have any kind of the tissue or organ itself. So there are three examples it is given here. The first one, there is example of amoeba is there, then there is example of the paramecium is there, and example of the euglena is going to be there. And in them you can see that there is presence of the nucleus is there. Here there is single nucleus is there, but in paramecium there is macronuclei and micronucleus is going to be present. Again here nucleus is present. Here there is presence of the pseudopodium, that is the locomotory organ is going to be there. Then here there is cilia is going to be present, that is the locomotory organ. And here there is flagellum is going to be present for the locomotion purpose itself. So these are the three different examples are there: amoeba, then paramecium and euglena. So in unicellularity itself, there is single celled organisms are going to be included, and they are going to made up of the single cell. Even though there is single cell is going to be there, they are going to carry out the different activities within that organism. So this is related to the unicellularity. Then there is second point is going to be there, that is known as the colonization. So colonization, it is a advancement towards the collection of organisms in close association. The association which is helpful for mutual benefits of unicellular organisms, for defense, for attack the bigger prey, and for reproduction purpose. The colony, it may be going to be formed by the similar individual or of the different individuals. They are going to be performing the different specific function. Division of labor appears in a highly organized colony, and examples you can see it is going to be occurring in the sponges, in the coelenterate animals, in higher organism. You can able to observe in the ant, then you can also going to be observed in the bees, as well as you can also going to be observed in the wasp itself. So this is related to the colonization. So colonization, already I had mentioned, it is nothing but the advancement towards the collection of organism in close association to form the colony. And already I had mentioned, this is the association which is useful for the mutual benefit. Likewise, already I had mentioned, it is benefited for defense. It is responsible for attacking the bigger prey. It is also responsible for reproduction purpose. Already I had mentioned, either it is going to be present in the same individual, or which is going to be taking place from the different organisms itself. And in this way, from the unicellularity, there is colony is going to be formed. Already I had mentioned that it is going to be occurring in sponges. Sponges which is coming from the phylum Porifera, and in the phylum Porifera there is example of the sponges are included. And in the sponges there is different kinds of the cells are going to be present. Likewise, in that there is archaeocytes are going to be there. There is presence of the choanocytes are going to be there. There is presence of the amoebocytes are going to be there. These are the different kinds of the cells are going to be there, but they are coming together to form the a certain kind of the colony. And this colony, it is going to be helpful for carrying out the different kinds of the function. So this is going to be occurring in the different kinds of the sponges. And overall, another example that I had also mentioned in the previous slide, that it is going to be occurring in the cast in the ants, then bees, as well as in the wasps. As you know, these are the insect coming from the phylum Arthropoda, and class Insecta is there. And among these organisms, or among these insect itself, there is different kinds of the caste are going to be there. If you consider the example of the bees, in the bees there is drones are there. In the bees there is a queen is going to be there, and then there is workers are going to be there. And there is caste system is going to be present, and this caste system, it is going to be depending on the division of labor. So division of labor is going to be carried out, and that entire functioning is going to be carried out for the colony itself. And this is at the higher level itself. So on the lower side, you can have which is going to be present in the sponges. Then you can able to see in the coelenterate animal, and in the higher level you can able to observe in the different kinds of the social insect itself, in which they are going to perform the different kinds of the functions itself. So in this image, again, you can able to see that how that colony is going to be formed. So initially there is single cell is going to be there, and then there is many cells are coming together and they are going to form the colony itself. So there is single cell is going to be present, then it is going to form the colony or aggregation of the cell is going to be there, and then there is formation of the colony is going to be taking place. So this is the concept of the colonization. Then there is concept of the multicellularity is going to be there. Organisms which is going to be consisting one or more cell, these are known as multicellular organism. These cells identify and attach to each other to form multicellular organisms. Most of the multicellular organisms are visible to the naked eyes, comparatively they are larger one, and true multicellular organisms regenerate a whole organisms from a germ cell. So when we consider related to the multicellularity itself, initially we had seen that the cells, if there is more than one cell is going to be there, then that kind of the organisms, it is known as multicellular organisms. As you know, whenever there is development of any kind of the animal or organism is taking place, at that time there is a formation of the many cells are going to be there.
चालू हो गई थी
As
तो
you know, when there is a reproduction is taking place, the fusion of the male gamete and female gamete is taking place, which is going to form the zygote, and from the zygote there is cleavage is going to be taking place. It is going to form the blastula, gastrula, then germ layer, and then there is a tissue and organ, it is going to be formed, and in this way there is multicellular organisms are going to be formed. And these multicellular organisms is going to
मॉनिटर
have the more
टीवी
than
आमची तर
one
कुणाला
type of the cell itself, and that kind of the cells are going to be present in the multicellular organism, in which there is tissues are going to be present, there is organ is going to be present, there is organ system is going to be present, and lastly there is entire animal is going to be formed. So, as you know, in a human being, if we are going to consider, then in this diagram, you can see that at a central region, there is egg is present, there is sperm is going to be
सकाळी चेंज
present.
केले होते आम्ही
Here, there is zygote is going to be formed, and after the zygote, there is a differentiation of that zygote is going to be taking place. Initially, blastula is going to be formed, gastrula it is going to be formed. At the end of gastrulation there is three different germ layers are going to be formed, and later on from that there is a tissue it is going to be formed, organ is going to be formed, and organ system is going to be formed. Here you can see that there is various kinds of the cells are going to be there. Likewise, there is nerve cell is present, RBCs are going to be present, then smooth muscles are there, fat cells are present, intestinal epithelial cells are present, striated muscles are there, then there is connective tissues are going to be there. So from the single cell itself of the zygote, there are different kinds of the cells are going to be formed, and from that initially there is cell is going to be formed, then there is tissue it is going to be formed, then there is organ is going to be formed, then organ system is formed, and then the entire animal it is going to be formed. So overall, when we consider related to the multicellularity, in the multicellularity organism that is going to be consisting more than one cell, then it is known as multicellular organism. These multicellular organisms are visible one because they are larger in size and can be able to see by the naked eye, and they are going to be form a entire organisms from the germ cell. So this is the concept of multicellularity. Then there is levels of organization are going to be there. So when we consider there is levels of organism, already I had mentioned that multicellular organism which is going to show the various levels of organization in their body, and individual cells are going to be perform the specific function, and they are also going to work together. The cells are also dependent on one another, and multicellular organisms, which is going to show the five different kinds of the levels of organization, from the simplest to the complex one. When we consider the simplest to the complex one, in that initially there is presence of the cells, then there is presence of the tissue, then there is presence of the organs, then there is presence of the organ system, and then there is organism is going to be there. And in different organism, which is going to show the different levels of organization, and these different kinds of the organization, these are going to be present in the form of the acellular, in the form of the cellular, in the form of the tissue, in the form of the organ, and in the form of the organ system. The same it is going to be shown in this structural organization of the body. There is different kinds of the chemicals are there. They are responsible for formation of the cell, they are responsible for formation of the tissue, they are responsible for formation of the organs, and organ system is going to be formed, and then there is organism is going to be formed. So when we consider related to the levels of organism, there are different kinds of the organisms are there, and they are going to show the different levels of the organization. Already I had mentioned that there is acellular, then cellular, then tissue, organ, and organ system is going to be present. So one by one we are going to deal related to all these different organisms, which is going to exhibiting the different levels of organization. So the first one, acellular. The acellular organisms, they do not contain any kind of the cell membrane, then they are not going to have the cytoplasm, and they are not going to have the cell organelle. So acellular organisms, they do not contain any cell membrane, cytoplasm, and cell organelles. And acellular or protoplasmic grade of organization is going to be observed in viruses, in cosmids, then in plasmid, they are going to be occurring. And they do not reproduce or replicate on their own. So they are unable to reproduce at the own itself, but it is going to be occurring in other organism, and this is not going to be occurring in the viruses and the other examples that already I had mentioned. They are completely going to be depending on the host for reproduction, and lack of enzymes for energy production. So they are totally going to be depending on the host for reproduction, and they are going to have lack of enzymes for energy production. They cannot grow, they develop or metabolize. So they cannot able to grow, they cannot able to develop, or they cannot able to metabolize. They possess either DNA or RNA, not both, which is going to be present in the living organism. So either they are going to have the DNA or RNA, both are not going to be present, which is present in all the living organisms. And they are going to utilize the ribosomes and enzymes from the host. So this is the first one, which is known as a cellular level of organization. Then comes the cellular level of organization. And in the cellular level of organization, in them there is presence of the cell is there, and cellular grade of organization, it is at the lower level itself. So initially it is going to be beginning from the cell level, and it is going to be present in from the lowermost organism itself. And when we consider related to the lowermost organism, in that there is sponges it is coming. So in the sponges, there is cellular level is going to be there, and in them they are going to perform the function independently, or they are going to be perform the function collectively. So either they are going to perform the functions separately, independently, or they are going to perform the function in a group or in a collective matter itself. Then in them they are going to exhibit a division of labor. So already I had mentioned in a previous slide that in the sponges itself there is different kinds of the cells are going to be there. Likewise, there is presence of the pinacocytes are there, there is presence of the choanocytes are there, there is presence of the porocytes are there, amoebocytes are present, then scleroblasts are going to be there. All these kinds of the cells are the separate cells are going to be there, but they are going to perform the same function, or they are going to carry out the different function itself. So there is division of labor is going to be taking place. Then a cells serves a specific function within the multicellular animal. So in multicellular animal, the cells are going to be there, but they are going to have the specific function. For example, you can take the example of the RBC, that is red blood corpuscles are there, or white blood corpuscles are going to be there. Nerve cells are going to be there, bone cells are going to be there, and they are going to have the different kinds of the function. And for carrying out the different kinds of the function, there is specific cells are going to be there, and that specific cell only going to carry out the different kinds of the function itself. And they are also going to show some kind of the interaction with the other another kind of the cell also. And these cells are going to have the direct contact with the environment, and they are also going to be responsible for carrying out the different kinds of the functions itself. So this is related to the cellular level of organization. Then thirdly, there is coming the tissue level organization. Then similarly functioning cells are coming together, and they are going to form the tissue itself, and these tissue are going to carry out the different kinds of the functions itself. Likewise, you can see the example of the connective tissues are there, example of the nervous tissues are there, example of the bone tissues are going to be there, and these tissues are going to perform the different kinds of the functions itself. In the human being, there are four different kinds of the basic tissues are present: connective tissues, then epithelial tissues, then there is presence of the muscle tissues, and then there is presence of the nerve tissue are going to be there. So all the four basic tissues are going to be present in the human being. In multicellular organisms, they are going to be formed by the single fertilized egg, that is the zygote. We had seen in the previous slide how it is going to be responsible for formation of the different kinds of the cells, and then that cells are coming together to form the organ itself, and that tissues are going to be perform the specific functions itself. Then overall this is going to be occurring in the all the organisms itself. In some of the organism itself, there are two different germ layers are going to be present. In some of the organism, there is three different germ layers are going to be present. Two germ layers are present in diploblastic animal, in which there is ectoderm and endoderm is present, and triploblastic animal, where there is three germ layers are going to be present. Likewise, there is ectoderm, then there is presence of the mesoderm, and then there is presence of the endoderm is going to be there. So according to the germ layer, either there is diploblastic animals are going to be there, or there is triploblastic animals are going to be there, and they are going to form the different kinds of the tissues, and that is known as the tissue level. Then comes the organ level. So in the organ level, the organ, it is going to be composed of groups of two or more tissues that are working together to perform a specific function of the organism. and that is known as organ level. For example, you can take the example of the different organs. Likewise, there is heart is present, which is the part and parcel of that circulatory system. Brain, that is the important vital organ which is responsible for nervous functioning. Then there is skin is going to be there. These are the different organs are there, and they are going to be composed by group of two or more tissues. They are coming together and they are performing a specific function, and that is known as the organ level system. For example, you can also able to have this kind of the organ level system in the lowermost animal itself. And platyhelminthes means the flat worm are the first metazoan animal. They are going to show such kind of the organ level organization for the first time. So from the platyhelminthes or the flat worm, the organ level of organization is coming in the existence. And you can see in the human being, it is at the top level itself. So it is going to be beginning from the platyhelminthes, and it is at the tip or at the top level in the human being. Then overall, already I had mentioned related to the tissue level, that there is presence of the two germ layers are going to be there, or there is presence of the three germ layers are going to be there. And when there is a third germ layer is going to be occurring, that is known as the mesodermal region. And that mesodermal region, which is also responsible for formation of the different kinds of the organs itself. So either there is ectoderm is responsible for formation of the different tissues, organs, then endoderm, which is also responsible, as well as there is mesoderm, which is also responsible for carrying out that kind of the function itself. So next level, that is the organ level, and then comes the organ system level. In higher organisms, several organs are going to be associated to form a distinct system performing definite functioning organs. Likewise, there is digestion is going to be there, respiration is going to be there, circulation, excretion, and reproduction is going to be there. And this is the organ system level, which is going to be present at the highest level. And this is firstly is going to be occurring in a marine worms like Eschelminthus and Annelida, where there is circulatory system and nervous system, it is going to be observed for the first time. And at the highest level of organization is going to be shown in the human being. And in the human being, there are 11 organ systems are present. Likewise, there is circulatory, digestive, endocrine, excretory, immune, integumentary, muscular, nervous, reproductive, respiratory, and skeletal system is going to be there. So in the beginning of that organ system, it is firstly observed in the marine Aschelminthus as well as annelid animal, and in the human being it is at the top. And nearly about 11 different kinds of the organ system are going to be shown by the human being itself. So overall, when we consider related to the different levels of organization, in that there is a cellular, then there is cellular, then there is tissue level, organ, and organ system is going to be there. In this diagram, again you can see there is presence of the different kinds of the chemicals are there. They are coming together to form the cells. Cells are coming together to form the tissues. Tissues are coming together to form the organs. Organs are coming together to form the organ system, and organ systems is going to form the organism itself. So this is related to the levels of organization. Then in the next slide, again you can see this is the levels of organization. And in that levels of organization, you can see that there is molecules are going to be there. These molecules, it is going to be formed by the atom itself. then they are going to form the cells itself, or there is a cell organelle is going to be formed. Then cells are coming together to form the tissue. Tissues are coming together to form the organ. Organs are coming together to form the organ system, and organ system, it is going to form the organism. So there is atoms are present, molecules it is going to be formed. They are going to be formed the cell or cell organelle. They are going to form the tissues, organ system and organism. The same is going to be written here. So molecules are made up of the atoms of elements like carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, sulfur, and these are the non-living things, and they are coming together and form the protoplasm, and which is the living matter in the cell. Then cellular level, all the living things are made up of the cell, and these are the structural and functional unit of life. So there is presence of the cellular level is going to be there. Then there is tissue level. The cells of organized to form tissue. Tissue is a group of cell which are similar in function and specific function. So this is the tissues are there. Then many tissues combine to form an organ which performs a particular function. So there is formation of organism is there, uh, uh, organ is there. Then there is organ system level, group of organs which work together to perform live activities. Example, organs of digestive system to work together for digestion of the food. And organism level, several organ systems together to form multicellular organism. The different organ system work together to keep the organisms live. So these are the different levels of organizations are going to be there. So already I had mentioned there is chemical, then cells, tissue, organ system and organism is going to be there. And same it is shown in this slide also. So there is atom, then cell, tissue, organ, organ system is going to be there, and this is the organism is going to be there. So this is related to your point that we had discussed, that is levels of organization. So in the levels of organization, we had seen the unicellularity, then we had also seen colonization of the cell, multicellularity aspect we had completed, a cellular, tissue level, organ level and organ system level that we had completed. So this is related to the diversity in nature. And in the diversity, there are huge number of the organisms are going to be there that must be categorized into the different groups. Then they should be given the proper name itself, and it is done by the science which is known as taxonomy. This is related to the unicellularity, which is going to be formed by the single celled organism. And single cell is going to perform the different kinds of the functions which is necessary for that organism. Either that may be the prokaryotic organism is there, or eukaryotic cell is going to be there. Example, amoeba, paramecium and euglena. Secondly, colonization, where there is cells are coming together to form the colony. Either that cell, it may be of the same type, or that might be the different cell is going to be there, and it is helpful for defense purpose. It is responsible for attacking the bigger prey. It is also helpful for the reproduction purpose. Example, we had seen sponges are there, cylindrate animals are there, in the insect, social insect, ants are there, bees are there, and wasps are going to be there. So this part is of the colonization. Then multicellularity, where there is one or more cell, it is coming together to form the multicellular organism. These are comparatively larger in size, that's why can be seen by the naked eye. And from the single zygote, there is different kinds of the cells are going to be formed. Then levels of organization, in that we had seen there is different kinds of the organisms are there, and these organisms are going to exhibit the different kinds of the levels like acellular, then cellular, tissue, organ, and organ system. And this is a structural organization of the body, chemicals, cell, tissue, organ system, and lastly there is organism is going to be there. And again, this is the levels of organization already I had mentioned: atom, molecule, cell, organelle, tissue, organ system, and organism is going to be there. So this is related to the levels of organization. So I am lastly very much thankful to the organization for giving me the opportunity to share my knowledge with the young coming zoologist. So once again, thank you very much. Take care and bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.